Hola, Jason from YapaTree here. Today we're taking you on a tour of an apartment in Calle Larga, Cuenca. We also sit down with the owner Joe to talk about his experience as an expat and as a landlord here. Vamos!
Hey guys, welcome aboard to B1. Glad you guys had the time to come by and had the interest to see what B1 has to offer. It's a small one-bedroom condominium here in the heart of Cuenca, and it comes fully furnished. Even the kitchen's fully furnished, and you can see out here we have a nice garden that is available to everybody who lives here, but outside of the slider, it really brings a lot of peace to your living experience in B1. And you know, it does smell good here with the flowers blooming, and it just gives you a different experience as to not being so much in the middle of Central here. But the living room, we have a pull-out couch that will sleep two, and gives you the opportunity to see the TV, and the kitchen here that is available with even a wine rack. So if you like wine, you can keep the white wine cold, and the red wine over here in a TV stand. Over here, we do have available the washer and dryer, that if you don't want to see the washer and dryer, you can shut the door, and with a microwave and refrigerator all in one spot. The don't know what the exact square footage is, or the square meter, but I think it's probably around 700 or 800, something like that. But you get a lot of light in here with the the full wall being glass and the slider, and it also gives you a lot of privacy with the flowers and the plants planted the way they are. So if you want to come in this way, we can look at the bedroom. Again, as I said, it's a one-bedroom unit, but you do have a lot of room with a built-in wardrobe that you have 3 units here and 3 units on top, which holds quite a bit. Again, this unit was designed probably for a one person situation, but 2 lovebirds that just got married probably would work out really well. And I'll let you go in and see the bathroom. Everything was custom designed here by an interior decorator originally, and we try to keep it maintaining the same boutique ambiance, if you will.
So I'm here with Esteban, a rentals facilitator, and also Joe, landlord, who's been kind enough to give us a little bit of a property tour and sit down with us and just answer some questions about life in Cuenca and also just life here as a landlord as well. So Joe, thank you very much for sharing your experience with us. First things first, why did you decide to move to Cuenca?
I moved to Cuenca because it just seemed to be one of the nicer places outside of the U.S., where the people were nice, the weather was the same all year round, and I wouldn't have to be shoveling snow.
Mm-hmm. So the weather was a big draw card.
Yeah. And then once I was here, the locals, the Cuencanos, were the selling feature.
Yeah. What did you like about the Cuencanos or the locals?
They're just sweet people. They do anything to help you out.
Yeah.
And they always had time to talk.
Awesome. And how long have you been here exactly?
I've gone on 10 years.
Yeah.
And every year it gets better.
Awesome. And so do you have plans to stay here for many more years, or what's your current trajectory look like?
Well, as they say in Spanish, I'm here jubilado,
Uh-huh.
totally retired.
Yeah.
So my interests are not in the United States right now. I do have a son. He comes to visit, 4 or 5 times a year.
Awesome.
And he likes it here. And he's just wrapping up college, and he has plans to hopefully get a online type of job and come back
You
to
can visit
Cuenca.
more often. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're here for being Cuencanos. I'm planning to become an Ecuadorian, and all I can say, it's been a great experience up until now.
Awesome. So this apartment itself, it's obviously very well situated on Calle Larga, but I understand you don't live in El Centro or even in Cuenca yourself. Whereabouts do you live, and why have you chosen them?
Well, we originally moved to Chaluyabamba, and there was a lot of new construction out there back when we immigrated here to Ecuador, and we lived there for 7 years. During that time, we experienced the COVID lockdown, and as big as the property for many houses in one spot were, the houses next door to one another, it just seemed so close after COVID with the lockdown. And we had an opportunity to look at a house up in the mountains opposite side of Cuenca, a place called Huichil, which is above Misicata. And it was new construction, and it was very beautiful. The locals here call it rustico, which is a little bit of brick, a little bit of wood, a little bit of brick on the roof, and we had great views across the valley.
Yep.
So it was a no-brainer to try something else that's new, and we were pretty much the only Americans that lived in that area. So it was very good in order to get our Spanish up to speed.
And have you found that that's helped you to make friends, like learning some of the language and just being in that particular area?
Again, the people are real open. If you're nice to them, they're nice to you. We actually moved into a community where just seemed like 2 or 3 families owned a lot of different lots around there, and the custom was to, maybe build a home for their daughter or son to stay in the area. A lot of local Cuencanos, they've gone to the United States, but the majority of all the ones I've talked to all return here in 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
Because it's such a nice place to raise a family.
It is a very common theme I see as well, and just talking about that, purchasing property, that's what a lot of them go to the States to do, come back, and make some money and buy some property. Why did you decide to buy this particular apartment in Calle Larga?
Well, I had the opportunity to buy this condominium while it was under construction. I think that sometimes it's difficult to project what something's going to look like, as a finished property. But I just became lucky that this property became on the market to buy after it was finished. Nobody had actually moved in here, but I think maybe the person who bought it lived in Quito. They may have bought it for making profit, selling it 2 or 3 years later. But we wanted to do something different with our retirement funds, and felt that a rental opportunity was possibly the best way to go.
Yeah.
Banking institutions seemed to be checky here at the time. There had been some issues years prior, and both my wife and I felt like moving here, we didn't want to keep 1 foot in the United States and 1 foot in Ecuador. So we jumped in with both feet, and we wanted to keep everything close by us.
Yeah, very good. And in terms of this particular unit, it sounds like you love the green space and you love the open air. So this was not necessarily going to be somewhere that you guys were going to live. It was always going to be an investment. Is that the thought process?
That was initially the beginning thought process. But we always looked at the rental market as how the properties came to us. Could we live here if we had to? We got older. We retired a little younger than maybe 65, we were 62. So we were able to do more versatility, so to speak, than to wait till we were 70 or 75, which, limits your options. So we had the opportunity to buy these condominiums here, and we always looked at it from the standpoint, my wife would look at me, could you live here? Could you live here? Sure, no problem. So that was the big hurdle at the time.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. Like looking around this place, I feel like you've used that test with the furniture too. So I think you put decent, high quality furniture in here, the type of furniture that you guys yourselves would actually really like to be around. So in terms of furnishing versus non-furnishing, why did you decide to go down the high quality furnishing path? Because obviously it's an investment too, another investment on top.
It is, and I think that having the furnishings, some of the market people call it a boutique condominium or boutique rental. When you see people come, North Americans come here to look or to retire, a lot of times they're just here with suitcases. They've made one trip or two trips, and we tried to market these properties insofar as it was a turnkey opportunity. I pay the bills. Nothing has to be done here except, put your clothes in the closet and your food in the refrigerator. Yeah. And to make that change, that move, that much easier for somebody who's moving into a new environment. And all you got to do is just go to try to find where to pay your bills here, and you can get pretty confused. Okay. So what we've tried to offer is the easiest possible opportunity for someone new moving in.
It's a fantastic landing pad, what you've created here. And in terms of the returns themselves, are you generally happy with the investment returns on this place over the lifetime of the investment that you've made?
The returns in terms of rental income has been good. Obviously, you always want it more, sure. But the market dictates really what you can, the pressure in which you can place on the rental price. But when you start to look at it from a standpoint that, if you kept it 5 or 6 years and if you wanted to do something different, you wanted to put your investment some other place, you have the growth potential here. So it always seemed to make sense from that standpoint. The downside is when the place is empty. People come and go. There's ebbs and flows. It's not always good. It's not always bad. I had somebody in my family say once, the good times aren't forever, and thank God the bad times aren't either. So you got to really kind of put it into that perspective and look at it more in the big picture, the long term, because things change.
Absolutely. And I know that this property was sitting idle for a little bit of time before we sort of got involved in the rental process. And Esteban, I know you helped with that rental process. So I'd really like your input, Esteban, as to what features in this particular apartment really drew tenants into it.
Well, the first thing that I have to say is that you have to qualify the tenant really well, because if the property is the right property, then you just need to qualify the tenant. For this case, is the location mainly. You have Calle Larga here, and then we have the river over there. So we have both entrances, which is perfect, and of course the good quality of the furnishing.
And how long did it take the tenant, or to find the tenant in this particular instance?
In this particular case, 3 days, I think it was, Joe?
Yeah, it was very fast. And, I think in giving you credit, having the opportunity to sit down with a potential renter and qualify them is a big thing. As a person who comes from the sales business and marketing, you really got to know what your client wants. You don't want to go on a good trip in Cuenca. It's a nice place to see the old architecture here, but if you don't know what your client, your customer wants, you may never find it.
Exactly.
I mean, you might lose an opportunity. And that's why I appreciate the time that you put in here and
Yeah.
talking to your client.
Yeah, yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, I mean that was probably the main, the
Qualified
location,
tenants.
qualified
and the
tenants
location.
first.
Yeah.
Because we all know when we have a good property because of the main features, because of location, the quality of the furnishing, of course, the price, and all that. But if you don't have a qualified tenant, it might not work for them anyway.
And sometimes your tenants don't know what they want.
Exactly.
We have a Gringo Post newsletter here, and you can see by some of the questions that new people that move into the community ask, they're really not sure of what to look
What they
for
want.
or what they're going to see.
Yes.
And if you kind of question your client, they start to bring things into focus that maybe they've never seen in their head before.
Yeah. So I know that the speed to market or the speed of the rental process, I assume you're quite happy with, but I want to flip the coin a little bit and ask you, are there any opportunities for improvement that you can see in your current relationship with us as YapaTree?
No, I think that you guys are on the right approach. I again was very much taken back as to how you look at trying to find the right client for the right property. Be doing this for about 7 or 8 years. You do have clients that come in, they're not quite happy. They're not because maybe things changed. Maybe they didn't know. And it's always important to find out really what your client is looking for, what their short-term and long-term goals are here.
I know Esteban is very patient with the tenants and really going through that process as well. So I'm sure that helped out. And any tips to potential tenants going through this rental process?
I would just say, taking the time to make the potential customer, client feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to show them whatever they really want to see here. There's probably only, in the terms of spectrums of rentals, so much property, different types of property that you can show. But if they want a balcony, gotta show them balconies. If they want a view of the mountains,
Sure.
there's always that availability. Some people just like to be quiet,
Yeah.
and once they shut that door, take a shower and go to bed, they get up for the next day and explore some more here of the beautiful town of Cuenca.
Absolutely. In terms of, like, from your side of view, selecting a tenant and going through that process, is there anything that a tenant can do to make themselves, more attractive in your eyes and more likely to succeed with a rental?
You always hope that your client or your renter is going to be happy. I've said that so many times to people, I want you to be happy here. Not knowing what their home life was like back in the United States or Canada, you never know. But there's only so much you can do to make people comfortable. Part of that is trying to get them to acclimate to their surroundings as well. So it's kind of a 50-50 mix of everything to see someone become comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Esteban, any tips from your end in terms of tenants and how they can make themselves, slightly more presentable or attractive to landlords?
Well, I would say be straightforward with what you really want
Mm-hmm.
for your place, and ask as many questions as you have in the first visit, because then the process is really easy. Because if you start asking questions along the process, in the closing, after a week that you rent the apartment, then there's some conflict with the communication. So ask as many questions as you have on the first visit, and then we can try to sort them out.
And I think with pets as well, that's particularly important. What type of pet do you have? How big? Send some photos in.
Exactly. We need photos for pets. We here in Ecuador, we are not used to, to get familiar with when they say, I have a 20 pounds dog.
Yeah.
We don't really know what that is, It's
Yeah.
okay, send us a picture and then we know what's the pet that you have and that's the thing, you know.
That's very helpful. Yeah. In terms of, I know you have some pets, right? You have a few.
Yeah, we have
few
4
dogs?
golden retrievers,
Yeah.
and we love our dogs, and we're always blessed to find a landlord who will offer their investment
For 4 dogs.
for
yeah.
4 dogs.
4
Yeah.
big dogs. Yeah.
Dogs are difficult. Animals are difficult. You know, if they come in all varieties. Some are very aggressive, you know, to the furniture, and you know, cats are sometimes aggressive to you know, the hygiene of a condominium or a house. But you know, we try to make everybody as comfortable as possible.
Awesome. And any last tips you may have to potential expats that are, you know, sitting on their couch in I don't know, California, thinking about making the move down here?
Well, as I tell everybody, there's Cuenca and the rest of Ecuador, and I'm sure if you come to Cuenca, you're going to find yourself pleasantly surprised. The people in Cuenca are lovely people. They're family people. You know, it's homework and church, if you will. And there's that warmth here that you don't always find in other places, especially if you've traveled in different parts of the world. So I think if you know how to speak a little Spanish and you're willing to learn a little more, and certainly the people here are willing to speak a little bit of English, it goes a long ways. And you can find your spot here in this town. It's very beautiful.
Awesome, Joe. That's very, very good. So I completely agree, and Cuenca is very unique. And if you're sitting on the fence, come check it out, spend some time here first, and hopefully the rest will take care of itself. It'll either be for you or it won't, but you'll know that by visiting. Any last thoughts, Esteban?
No, just if you have any other questions for us, you know, just visit our website or YapaTree.com, and we'll be there for you.
Awesome, guys. Thanks very much for your time.
Hey guys, thank you.
All right.
Thanks a million to Joe for letting us show his property to you. I think you'll agree that it is a fantastic apartment. Now, this particular apartment isn't currently available, but if you do want to view current listings, go to YapaTree.com. And of course, if you want to view current investment property opportunities, you're welcome to reach out to me as well, jason@YapaTree.com. Thank you very much for watching and have a fantastic day. Ciao.